Welcome everyone to the conversation on some really thought provoking topics, starting off with a discussion about recent global power realignments, and then a deep dive into a political crisis affecting Canada's NDP.
I'm ready to get into it. This is such a dynamic area, especially with how big names like Putin, Xi, and Modi are now in the spotlight.
Absolutely. So last week there was this high profile meeting where, Russian President Putin, Chinese President Xi, and Indian Prime Minister Modi came together. And it's being
Right.
seen as a clear signal that US unipolarity might be coming to an end.
Wow, that's a game changer. US unipolarity has been the norm for a long while. The fact that these leaders are aligning tells us um, that the global balance of power is shifting in unexpected ways. Huh?
Exactly. It's like if you imagine the world as a giant chessboard, the old central king is no longer dominating the board in the same way. Countries are regrouping with new alliances, and that meeting was a vivid reminder of that shift.
Yeah, really vivid, totally. And it underlines the emergence of a multipolar world moving forward. But tell me, what's your take on how this meeting might alter global strategies?
Well, it's interesting because that summit didn't just represent routine diplomacy. It was a deliberate, high level conversation that signified the willingness to reconfigure traditional alliances. Think of it like a rebalancing act. Non Western powers are now saying, hey, we're here too, and are ready to set new rules of engagement.
I see that. That's a really, really intriguing way of looking at it. When you mention setting new rules, I assume you're referring to shifts not only in military and economic strategies, but also in diplomatic relations?
Right, exactly. And this move could potentially upend decades old alliances. It's almost like watching a well established operating system finally meet its match and have to undergo a major update, you know? But aside from these global implications, there's another side to the story here.
You mean the crisis with the new Democratic Party in Canada?
Yes, exactly. In the second half of the discussion, there's this exploration of an existential crisis within the NDP. It touches on how the party, which has long been a contender in Canadian politics, is now facing deep internal and external pressures that call into question its very identity.
That sounds intense. Wow, that's a stark contrast from the grand stage of global geopolitics. What exactly is driving their crisis?
The factors are multifaceted. Think about internal disagreements, friction on policy directions, and a failure to connect with a rapidly evolving political landscape. It's like the party is at a crossroads, with a legacy that isn't resonating with today's electorate.
Right, yeah, I get it. So, would you say that the NDP's missteps are somehow reflective of this broader global trend of outdated structures needing to reinvent themselves?
Absolutely. It's a microcosm of larger shifts. Just as global powers need to reformulate their strategies in a multipolar world, political parties like the NDP are recognizing that if they keep clinging to old paradigms, they risk losing relevance.
Yeah, exactly. That's a compelling analogy. But some might challenge that interpretation, saying that a party's internal challenges are just par for the course in any vibrant democracy. What do you think?
I hear that, but I respectfully disagree. While internal debates are natural, the crisis described really goes deeper. It points to an existential dilemma. The NDP isn't just facing minor policy disagreements, it's questioning its very existence in a modern, shifting political
That's a
environment.
fair point. Got it. So, we're looking at two parallel narratives. One where advanced global diplomacy signals the end of an era of US dominance, and another where a major political party struggles to redefine its identity amidst turbulent times.
Spot on. And between those two, there's this overarching theme of transformation and renewal. Internationally, we're witnessing the rise of new power blocs, while domestically, there's a pressing need for political parties to evolve or risk becoming relics. It's almost poetic in the way these stories intersect.
That is really fascinating. It's like both the global stage and the local stage are screaming, adapt or fall behind. But I wonder, isn't it a bit simplistic to draw such direct parallels between global power structures and the domestic challenges of one political party?
That's a valid critique. Applications in different contexts require nuance. I mean, yes, the stakes are different in terms of scale and impact, but the underlying principle of evolution in response to changing environments remains. It's like comparing a whole ecosystem to a single species adapting to
Yes,
new
I get that.
conditions.
Right, so even if the NDP's crisis is more localized, it still resonates because it mirrors the abandonment of old models seen on the world stage.
Exactly. And this conversation really highlights the idea that whether you're a nation or a political party, there comes a point where past successes aren't enough to guarantee future survival.
Absolutely. And speaking of survival, what do you think are the next steps for these global players? I mean, what should the US or traditional parties like the NDP do in the face of these shifts?
For the US, it's about recalibrating its foreign policy and embracing a more multilateral approach. It can't assume leadership unilaterally anymore. There has to be a genuine dialogue with other emerging powers. For the NDP and similar parties, it means taking a hard look at outdated ideologies and really listening to the changing needs of their bases.
Yeah, true. So, in both cases, it's like a call for reinvention, whether that means reforming diplomatic policies or modernizing political platforms.
Absolutely. It's about shedding old skin. And, there's a lot of evidence from the conversation that both are at critical junctures. The summit among the global leaders marks a turning point, while the detailed discussions on the NDP suggest that missing that moment of reinvention could have lasting repercussions.
Definitely. It almost feels as if, in a way, these developments are reminders that change, however challenging it may be, is inevitable.
Exactly right. And while the changes might stir up some unrest, they're also a necessary part of evolution, whether in international relations or domestic politics. And in that sense, David Fromm's perspective really provides a comprehensive view that's hard to ignore.
Yeah, very compelling. I must say, it's a real eye opener, and it makes you wonder how many established systems might soon be forced to adapt in ways we've never seen before.
Precisely. And it's a topic that encourages us to look at history through a fresh lens. I mean, who would have thought that the convergence of a multipolar world discussion and a crisis in a Canadian political party could be so deeply interconnected?
Indeed. It definitely highlights that political evolution is complex and multi layered. And while some may argue against drawing these parallels, it's hard to ignore the common thread of transformation running through both narratives.
Exactly. And let's be honest, transformation can be messy and unpredictable, but it's necessary for growth. The traditional structures, whether it's unipolar dominance or established political parties, can't rest on their laurels forever. Change is the only constant.
Definitely true. I love that perspective. It's like a call to action for all systems to be forward thinking. But do you think that this new geopolitical order could lead to more conflicts, or might it foster cooperation in a fragmented world?
That's a great question. On one hand, increased multipolarity could lead to power struggles, yet, on the other, it could also create room for richer alliances and more balanced global discussions. It's a bit of a double edged sword. The challenge is ensuring that cooperation wins over conflict.
Right? Sounds like a real balancing act. And in the domestic realm, similar pressures exist. Political parties might initially struggle with their identity crisis, but that very struggle could open up opportunities for, redefining their purpose and reconnecting with modern voters.
Yep, exactly. It's like sometimes a crisis is the spark for rebuilding something stronger and more responsive. The NDP's situation could very well push them to, say, restructure their policies and modernize their appeal in a democratic society that's constantly evolving.
That hope is there. So, to wrap it all up, both on the global and Canadian fronts, it's a matter of embracing evolution and being prepared for a future that may not resemble the past at all.
Spot on. Whether it's recalibrating global alliances or rethinking political identities, embracing change is critical for survival. And that's the big takeaway from this discussion. No system is immune to the pressures of time.
Absolutely agreed. Thanks for this stimulating conversation. It's been a real deep dive into how power structures, both global and local, are facing a transformative era.
Thank you. It's been great unpacking these ideas with you. Till next time, keep questioning and pushing the boundaries of what's possible in our ever-changing world.